It's called the Convention of States, a unique way the framers of the Constitution provided to help citizens claw power back from the federal government. And the movement to have one is picking up steam. At this year's National Religious Broadcasters Conference in Nashville, I had an opportunity to speak with the president of the Convention of States, Mark Meckler, about the effort to bring power back to the people. I started by asking about the convention, what it is, and why it's so important. Take a listen.
Well, the founders gave us in Article 5 of the Constitution a way to gather as states and to propose amendments to the Constitution to restrain the federal government. Why now? Because the federal government needs restraining. So we can impose a balanced budget, we can impose term limits, we can take education and health care away from the federal government, we can prohibit the packing of the Supreme Court. All these things really important right now. It takes 34 states to call a convention, and just in the last few weeks we passed Wisconsin, Nebraska, and West Virginia, and that takes us to 18 states. We're past the halfway mark to the 34 that it takes to call.
Now, I want to make sure that I have this right. Now, once the convention is called, they get an opportunity to propose amendments, and then the states have to go back and vote on them as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's really important. There are people who worry about, well, what will the convention do? And the answer is the only thing they can do is to make suggestions. So they'll make suggestions, those suggestions go out to the states, and then it takes 3/4 of the states to ratify. And the most important thing to remember is only 13 states to stop anything. So if anything came out of convention that you or I wouldn't like, or that your viewers wouldn't like, only 13 states to stop it. That's a low bar for stopping something.
And so much of this has to do with states' rights, actually sort of realigning our government back toward allowing the states to have more power, local communities to have more power, rather than concentrating it in Washington, D.C., correct?
Yeah, that's really correct, and that's the fundamental break in our system of governance. The federal government originally had 17 enumerated powers in the U.S. Constitution. Now they have, 700 as given to them by the Supreme Court. So what we're doing is saying we need to take some of that power back, give it to the people in the states so that they can control their own lives.
All right, now, Mark, you're here at the National Religious Broadcasters Conference. This is a faith community. Talk to us about why you chose to come here to talk about the Convention of States. Why is it important to faith leaders and faith communicators?
Well, I think first of all, at a base level, anybody who's a person of faith should understand that our system of governance comes from our faith. We're a system of governance based on Judeo-Christian values, based on Old Testament and New Testament values, so this is the place where that's expressed in the media most thoroughly. And right now, the expression of our faith, the ideas of our faith, just a traditional way of life, are under attack by the mainstream media, under attack by big tech, and so this is the place where the defense is going to take place.
Now, in fact, you're going to be speaking about that to this conference, big tech censorship, what big tech is doing specifically to faith communities. What is your message today about that, and what can people watching at home, what can they do about the erosion of religious liberty that we're seeing in this country right now?
Yeah, religious communities are a subset of what I would call the conservative ecosphere or media sphere, and so they're under assault like everybody else in the conservative movement. If we express conservative values about marriage, about sexuality, about society, those things are being censored in the media. So I think being at a conference like this is really important because these are people who are against that kind of censorship. We should be consuming this sort of media. We should be listening to religious broadcasters, faith-based broadcasters, traditional broadcasters. So being here in support of that's really important, and also standing against big tech censorship. We should be starting platforms that push back against this, and also never be afraid to speak. I think that's the most important thing. People are afraid to speak. They're afraid of the censorship. If we're afraid, we'll lose.
Absolutely. Okay, now where can people get more information about your work at Convention of States?
Go to conventionofstates.com, sign the petition for your legislature. More importantly, click the Take Action tab and get involved. It's not just about speaking, it's about being active. Activists are active, conventionofstates.com.
We need to have that dialogue. It's a very important national dialogue. All right, Mark Meckler, the president of the Convention of States, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm here live in Philadelphia at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. When you hear the phrase lives, fortunes, and sacred honor, these are the folks we should think of, those who anonymously gave their lives. Well, today you have a chance to volunteer. You need to volunteer for conventionofstates.com, the movement that's going to save the country. These folks are willing to step up and give everything. We need you to give just a little bit. Go to conventionofstates.com and volunteer today.